Hi everybody, I'm Boobs Kelly. Welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to update you guys a little bit on my injury and just let you know how it's been going. Thank you so much for all the well wishes in the comments. You guys are so kind to me and I appreciate it so very much. It's really helped. So I thought I would just let you guys know and update you here on how things are going. If you guys missed the initial video that explained exactly what happened, I'll link it for you. But basically, I tore several muscles in my upper back really severely. And I have now learned that I reasonably cannot expect to be back to normal daily tasks, like just work, life, taking care of the house or the kids or the cooking, at least not pain-free, for another 2 months, which has been a little bit of a hard pill to swallow. It's been already just over a month, and learning that I still have at least another month where daily life will be somewhat painful and impacted. And then another month after that where it might be less painful but still activity restricted. Just feels like a long time still. So I previously filled you guys in that I tore a bunch of muscles up in my upper back, and the whole first week everything had like tightened up and tensed up and I could hardly move anything. Like I couldn't, my neck, my shoulders, my upper back was all frozen basically. Any attempt to move hurt really bad. But by like day 6, day 7, the pain started to reduce a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And my neck movement improved. I was able to move my neck a lot better. So then I cleaned and changed the bed sheets and I vacuumed everything everywhere, and I caused a compensatory crisis on the right side and a bunch of inflammation and things like that on my right side. So then I had the entire second week of this injury, I couldn't move like at all. Both this right and left side were in this really intense spasm and painful and frozen. And then by week 3, somewhere around midweek, I started feeling a little bit better. My right side loosened back up, so the compensatory crisis sort of started to resolve at least. And it was at that point that I realized, as my pain went from very high to more like middle of the road, and the right side started to relax a little bit, like that muscle spasm finally broke. It was at that point that I really realized I was having a lot of brain fog. I think before that, it was just everything was so painful. I was kind of like, yeah, of course I can't think straight. But as my right side loosened up and my pain kind of localized more to where the injury site is and was just less extreme when I was resting. Like I still at that point, and still now, if I try to use my left side, it's extremely painful. And there's a spot on the back of my shoulder blade where the rhomboid muscle attaches that got torn off there. That is exquisitely tender. Like if you try to touch that area of my shoulder blade, even now, it's super painful and tender. But at that point, the widespread, just huge amount of pain, constantly in high level pain, started to calm down just a little bit. And at that point, I really realized I was having, the best way to describe it is concussion-like symptoms. I was having a hard time concentrating. I couldn't think clearly. I felt like my brain and my thinking was just in slow motion. And it was at that point that I wanted to try to like do a little bit more. Like I wanted to try to brainstorm ideas for the channel or write, even just editing videos or making thumbnails or coming up with like the description box or title of a video was a huge task because I just couldn't concentrate. I couldn't think. and I couldn't come up with ideas. I just really couldn't think clearly. And It was very bothersome, but also all of a sudden it was very noticeable. And apparently that's very, very normal with this particular type of injury, in part because it's so taxing to be in such high levels of pain for so long. At no point during that first 3 weeks did I have pain fall below like a 6, maybe a 7. So apparently it's normal for your brain to kind of have some of these types of symptoms after an injury like this and sustained levels of pain. But it's also like really physically taxing and demanding and metabolically taxing to try to repair an injury like this. And the fact that I kind of made it worse at the 1 week mark obviously didn't help. But it's been difficult to deal with that because obviously I'm so fortunate that I can try to do some work and it's not a physical job, but my brain isn't with it. I just can't think straight. I can't concentrate on anything. And that's still going on. And apparently it's normal for it to last for up to 3 months, sometimes longer. So I'm hoping it stays to like 3 months and resolves within the next couple months. It has gotten a little bit better, and there's definitely good days and bad days, times where it's more noticeable or less noticeable, but because I'm still having such a hard time concentrating on anything, which is very unlike me, like I am very good at focusing and not letting distractions bother me, and very high in like executive functioning, so I can multitask really easily. So this has been quite challenging, and because it could potentially continue for a while, I'll probably still not be back up to my normal output of videos for a little while longer. But it's been quite surprising to me because not just the neurological symptoms, but the overall systemic response, because I think when we think about muscle strains or sprains, anybody who does sports or lives an active lifestyle or lifts weights at the gym is very familiar with sore muscles and low-grade tears. Most of us have probably had a handful of low-grade muscle tears throughout our lifetime that were not a big deal, myself included. And so a lot of this has taken me by surprise because I think there's just this, it's hard for me to comprehend how a grade 1 muscle tear can be just really not a big deal at all and needs zero treatment or intervention most of the time, and is just, you go about your business still, like it doesn't interfere with your day-to-day life, to a high grade 2 tear, which is what I have, being basically, it's comparable to breaking a bone. The amount of recovery and interference in daily life, which is crazy to me. That feels like a really extreme jump to go from not a big deal with a grade 1 tear to a high grade 2 tear being like, well, you basically have the equivalent of a broken bone in your muscle. That kind of blows my mind, and I've had a hard time digesting that. Because it just feels like it shouldn't be this big of a deal, but it is. Like, for example, the first 5 days, I felt like I had been hit by a bus. I was drained, I was fatigued, lethargic, like just no energy for anything. Just the most low-key you could possibly be is how I felt. Just absolutely no energy, completely zapped. Like, you know how when you get the flu and you are just floored, even getting up to get water feels heavy and difficult? That's how I was for the first 5 days. Just no energy for anything. And because my movements were so painful and restricted, in so much pain, huge systemic inflammation, like this feeling of exhaustion and the concussion-like symptoms indicate and are, directly related to how severe the injury was, but also just feel out of place for a muscle tear to me. I don't know why, but I know I'm not the only one who thinks that, because one nurse who I spoke with, who I saw for this injury, erroneously told me I should massage the area and stretch it out and go ahead and try to move it like normal, which is like the worst advice you could possibly give someone with nearly a complete rupture of their muscle. So I know I'm not the only one who doesn't grasp how bad a muscle tear can really be, but it really took me by surprise. Now I'm in week 5, and I would say obviously a lot of the systemic responses have calmed down and my right side feels better. I still occasionally, especially if I try to move too much, get pain at the AC joint right here, but it's mostly just the left side that's painful, which is great. That's just a huge improvement. And as of this week, week 5, I have chunks of time where I don't feel pain, which has been a huge relief. I cannot tell you how wonderful that has been, because I spent an entire month of March in pain 24/7, which I'm not used to going through something like that. I've had really severe injuries in the past, but I obviously, no one's prepared for stuff like that when it happens. And I'm lucky that I have so much help at home. And like I said, that I can work from home and have been able to get at least a little bit of stuff out to you guys and done. Coming into this 5th week, having chunks of time where I don't actually actively feel pain was such a relief. And I'm so happy and excited to report that to you guys. And I'm able to start doing just a little bit more. I think part of the mental load has been trying to wrap my head around just how long it's going to be till I can get back to normal activity and exercise. But that's enough about that. The news here is that it turns out I very nearly completely ruptured my rhomboid major and minor. I should, over the next month, continue to have less and less pain so long as I behave and sit still and not try to push and rush myself back. So that's always, as I said last time, that's always the hardest part for me. Actually taking my time healing from something is not easy for me. So I'm going to try to be really, really disciplined with it and focus on healing this as best I can. And hopefully the brain fog clears up this next week or two. If you have been through something similar and also had the concussion-like neurological response, I would really like to hear from you in the comments on when that resolved. Because hearing that it could take up to 2 months to really fully go away seems intolerable. So please let me know in the comments if you've been through something similar. And if you ever do tear a muscle, please treat it like a broken bone, because for your body, apparently it's basically the same. You learn something new every day, right? Thank you for joining me for this little personal update. And I know it's not my usual content. I'm sorry for that. But thank you for watching. If you watched to the end, I really do appreciate it. And I will be back very soon with more videos. And I will see you soon. Have a happy day, everybody. Bye.